Peter has a serious double standard. When a hot girl with killer curves swivels over to hit on him, he doesn't even look up. If you're that itchy, go take a shower. But when I run into him downstairs, 3 days since my last hair wash and with a completely bare face, before I can even say a word, Peter's Adam's apple bobs. Stop trying to seduce me. But I'm free tonight. Your place or mine? My bestie, Emily, called me out for her birthday. I thought it was just going to be the two of us, but then she took a call halfway through. Oh, my childhood friends are coming to celebrate with me too. My bestie is an heiress. Her childhood friends are naturally a circle of rich, well-connected guys. People from a world totally different from mine. I felt a little awkward. Should I head out then? No way, I'll be sad if you leave. Let's all hang out, they're really nice guys. Be good, wait here for me for a sec. I'm going to the door to get them. A really important family friend, Peter, is coming today too. All right. I had no choice but to sit back down. Emily got up, clearly in a great mood, but as she was leaving the private room, she suddenly turned back with a teasing look on her face. Oh right, I ordered a top-tier male model for us, the cool, aloof heartthrob type. 10 grand a night. He'll be here any minute. You can enjoy the view for a bit. I helplessly agreed. Sure enough, just a few minutes after Emily closed the door, it was pushed open again. I looked up and froze. Because the guy who walked in was, honestly, top tier. Sharp eyes, broad shoulders, wide back, long legs. Paired with the standard issue black shirt for models, a diamond-studded silver chain. He was devastatingly handsome. I marveled silently. A $10,000 a night male model really is easy on the eyes. And also, it's true what they say. Getting into the business is a fast way to make money. The model looked down at me, his voice cool and casual as he asked. Emily's room? Emily is my bestie's name. I nodded, yes. HM. He gave a slight nod back and was about to sit on the other end of the sofa. Wait a second. I called out to the handsome model. He lifted his gaze. What is it? I awkwardly patted the spot next to me. You should probably sit here next to me. He looked at me, seemingly confused. I explained gently, a lot of people are coming later. You'll feel out of place sitting over there. Now, the model's expression became a bit unreadable. He looked me up and down, raising an eyebrow slightly. All right. After he sat down next to me, he didn't try to make conversation. He just sat there, eating from the fruit platter while looking down at his phone. His profile was sharp, naturally exuding a sense of distance. I got it. This was the cool, aloof heartthrob style. But my bestie already paid the money, so he had to do his job, right? Like, maybe don't just eat by yourself. Feed me a few pieces of fruit first. I carefully poked his arm. I'd like some too. The model paused and pushed the fruit platter toward me. Sorry. I didn't move, just stared at his hand. His eyes narrowed. What, you don't expect me to feed you, do you? I nodded sheepishly. Is that okay? At least let me experience this luxury service while there are fewer people around. I wouldn't have the guts once the room filled up. The look in the model's eyes instantly became knowing, as if he was watching some clumsy pickup attempt. Then, he let out a short puff of air that sounded like a laugh. You're different from the others who are so forward. You're Emily's friend? Yeah. What's your name? Laura. I was a little confused. Do models have to check their clients' personal information these days? Didn't she tell you who I am? She did. What did she say? I said seriously, she said you are. Before the words a top-tier male model could leave my mouth, the door to the room was thrown open amidst a wave of noise. My bestie walked in with a group of people. Suddenly, Emily's eyes landed on me, and she exclaimed in pleasant surprise. Peter, my man. I was waiting for you outside. How did you get in here already? I heard the model next to me say lazily. It was too loud out there, so I came in for a couple bites of fruit. And I got to meet your friend ahead of time. She's interesting. I felt like an idiot, looking back and forth between my bestie and this man. My brain felt like it had been sent into exile. The rest of the birthday party was wild. Only 2 people weren't participating. One was Peter. He wasn't interested in the drinking games, just lounging lazily on the sofa. The group of rich kids all seemed to treat him with a certain reverence. Even their jokes were delivered in a respectful tone. The second person was me. I stared at the floor the entire time, not saying a word. If there had been a crack in the ground, I probably would have crawled into it. I didn't dare look to my left. Even Emily was curious why I was being so withdrawn, not even eating the fruit fed to me by the top-tier male model. She whispered to me. What's wrong? Are you intimidated by Peter's presence? Or did he give you a hard time when he came in? I shook my head, no. Then what's going on? Sigh, here's what happened. I leaned in close to her ear and quietly told her about my case of mistaken identity. After listening, Emily had to fight to keep from laughing. It was a struggle. I said in a panic, stop laughing. Should I go apologize right now? I don't think you should. Why not? If you apologize, Peter will immediately know you thought he was a male escort, and that might actually piss him off. But if you don't apologize and just let it slide, he'll probably just think you were trying to flirt. The first one will make him remember you, and he could crush you with a flick of his finger. The second one is just a little embarrassing. Which do you choose? I'm not stupid. I chose the latter. Emily patted my shoulder. Don't worry, he's a busy guy. He won't remember little things like this. That's a relief. Her words helped me relax. I even found the courage to join a game, trying my best to ignore the man named Peter and lower my presence in front of him. But you know what they say, what you fear most is what happens. After a few rounds of drinks, Emily, as the birthday girl, proposed a new game. A hidden mission. Everyone, except for Peter who wasn't playing, drew a hidden mission card. It had to be completed before the party ended. Whoever failed had to pay for the entire night's bill. I glanced at the table full of expensive liquors that could cost me several years' salary, then looked down at the hidden mission card in my hand. A faint sense of doom washed over me. Get the WhatsApp of the person to your left. To my left was Peter. Clutching my phone, I carefully glanced to my left. Peter, who had been looking down at his phone, suddenly looked up. What? No, nothing. I guiltily turned back. It seemed like the coast was clear. A moment later, I snuck another peek at Peter, wanting to say something but holding back. He asked again, you need something? No. I denied it again. The coast was clear, again. But this time, I thought I heard Peter chuckle. My back immediately tensed up like a drawn bowstring. How could I ask for his contact info in a way that seemed normal and didn't draw too much attention? The third time I peeked, my face was flushed from nerves and anxiety. Beet red. I never expected that this time, my gaze would meet Peter's. He had been watching me for who knows how long. Glancing at my flushed face, he raised an eyebrow. If you want my number, just say so. Wow. He actually figured out my mission. I fumbled to pull up my QR code. Is that okay? It's fine, but next time you want to hit on someone, you can be more direct. I was a little confused. Who was hitting on him? But just like that, my hidden mission was successfully completed. After adding Peter on WhatsApp, I didn't dare bother the rich kid, and I definitely didn't dare delete him. I just let his name sit in my contacts list. The day after Emily's birthday, I happened to have the day off. My elementary school-aged niece came over to play. As soon as she arrived, she wanted to play on my phone. I handed it to her and went to the kitchen to make her lunch. Auntie, I want to play Candy Crush. You can just download it yourself. Auntie, why don't you have an auto-liker on your social media? It's not cool at all. Thinking auto-liker was some new game, I didn't look up and said gently. If you want it, you can just download it yourself. Okay. My little niece happily went back to playing on my phone. After she left, I didn't touch the pile of games she downloaded, figuring she could play them next time she visited. A week went by, then 2. One day, when I was having dinner with Emily, she suddenly asked with concern. Laura, have you been really free lately? Not at all, I've been super busy. Then why is it that every time I post something, you're the first to like it? Even when I post in the middle of the night, you're the first, and you like it the second I post. It's like you're just sitting there waiting. If I didn't know any better, I'd think you had a crush on me. Huh? I was baffled. I don't think so. I've been too busy to even look at my feed lately. How could I have liked your posts? That's weird. Did you install one of those auto-liker bots? Auto-liker? I remembered my niece mentioning that a while back. Oh. So it wasn't a game. Oh, my niece was playing on my phone and must have turned it on by accident. I'll turn it off right now. I quickly went into my settings and disabled the auto-liker program. Finally, no more instantly liking everyone's posts. But 2 days later, Peter, who had been lying dormant in my contacts list, suddenly sent me 4 very strange words. Playing hard to get? I stared at my phone. Completely clueless. I didn't reply. I just assumed the rich kid had sent it to the wrong person by mistake. But when I met Emily for dinner after work, there was an unexpected extra person at the table. Peter. He was dressed casually today. A black short-sleeved shirt and cargo pants. His lean frame made him look sharp and effortlessly cool. Like a model who had walked straight out of a magazine. Except his face was grim, as if someone had seriously pissed him off. Even when I greeted him, he just responded with a cold grunt. Emily whispered to me. He called me and insisted on having dinner. You have no idea, even my dad has to be deferential to him, so I couldn't say no. Babe, just bear with it. I'll treat you to a big meal tomorrow to make it up to you, okay? It's fine, I don't mind. Emily relaxed and gestured for me and Peter to eat. I glanced at the dishes on the table. They were all expensive, but not really my taste. The one dish I did like, a savory meat pie, was right in front of Peter. I really didn't have the guts to reach my chopsticks over while he was wearing that scowl. Then, a light bulb went off in my head. While Peter and Emily were chatting, I casually stood up a little and swapped our 2 dishes. The meat pie was now in front of me, and the pan-seared sole that was in front of me was now in front of Peter. Peter, who had been talking to Emily, paused mid-sentence and glanced at me. His dark eyes were deep, and the straight line of his mouth curved into a smile. For some reason, I felt like the storm clouds that had been hanging over his face finally cleared. His handsome face seemed to be written with 4 words. I knew it. As he took a bite of the fish, Emily leaned over and whispered in my ear. Babe, how did you know Peter loves fish? I blinked, just as puzzled. I didn't. I just really wanted to eat that meat pie. Emily didn't press the issue, and I didn't think much of it. But in any case, Peter's mood had clearly improved. He ate well and even had a few drinks with Emily. I ate my fill too. Yep. A wonderful evening. After dinner, we were all ready to head home. But we ran into a tricky situation. Peter and Emily had both been drinking, so they obviously couldn't drive. Emily's personal driver came to pick her up, but Peter plopped himself right into the driver's seat of his luxury car. I was horrified. There have been so many news stories lately about drunk drivers getting into accidents, and their dinner companions having to pay compensation. This was not happening. I rushed over and grabbed his car door. Peter, are you heading home? What about it? Let me drive you. I have a license, I can drive. It's not safe for you to go alone after drinking. Peter, who had just been planning to sit and rest until his driver arrived, stared at me. His eyes were filled with an emotion I couldn't decipher. It was like amusement. And a bit of helpless indulgence. All right, I'll give you a chance. Why did that sound like he was doing me a favor? I was trying to save his life. I just don't get how this rich kid's brain works. After helping him out of the car, getting him into the back seat, and buckling his seatbelt, I got into the driver's seat. The car Peter was driving today was a G-Wagon. It was my first time driving a 7-figure luxury vehicle, and even with my calm personality, I couldn't help but feel a little thrilled. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. From the back seat, Peter, with his eyes half closed, suddenly let out a soft chuckle, his voice slightly hoarse. Laura, you seem pretty excited. And no, I'm not. Really? Yeah. Peter, what's your address? You don't know? I was confused. Was I supposed to know? No, I don't. Peter let out another one of his strange laughs. The Sterling residence. I've posted the location on my feed before. Me, the country bumpkin, scratched my face in embarrassment. So that's how it was. He'd flexed on his social media. Too bad I was too busy to look at my feed and appreciate his pride. I carefully drove Peter back to his mansion in the city's most expensive district. The alcohol was probably starting to hit him, because he was a bit wobbly on his feet when he got out of the car. I had no choice but to personally escort him into his home. Rich people are really on another level, even their door lock was an iris scanner. After serving as his human crutch all the way to the bedroom and getting him to lie down, Peter seemed to fall asleep almost instantly. His breathing was light and even. Worried he might throw up in his sleep and choke, I made an effort to place another pillow under his head. I adjusted his sleeping position. After all that, I was sweating and flushed. Peter looked thin, but his muscles were dense and heavy. I was completely exhausted. Wiping my sweat, I was about to leave when I noticed he was still wearing his shoes. Whatever. Might as well go all the way. It would be a shame to get the 6-figure mattress dirty. So, I took off his shoes and pulled the blanket over him. There. He should be fine now, right? Satisfied, I prepared to leave, but when I got to the front door, I was stumped. Why do you need an iris scan to get out, too? That night, unable to leave, I had to crash on Peter's sofa. Fortunately, his sofa was huge and soft, and I slept surprisingly well. I woke up naturally the next day. The moment I opened my eyes, I jumped. Peter was sitting across from me, watching me with a dark, unreadable expression. Who knows when he sat down or how long he'd been watching. He looked like he was contemplating how to deal with the stranger who had crashed at his place. I scrambled to explain. Last night after I brought you home, I was going to leave, but because... He cut me off before I could finish. But his tone was surprisingly gentle. I know, you don't have to explain. Thanks for propping up my head and taking off my shoes. Go ahead and wash up. Thinking this was his way of kicking me out, I nodded eagerly. Okay. After I quickly washed up, Peter offered to drive me home to change. I'd be late for work and lose my perfect attendance bonus, so I didn't refuse. I never expected that after I changed, he would then drive me to my office and even ask me out to dinner. But I had to work overtime, so I could only politely decline. He wasn't annoyed. He just nodded and said, "No problem. We'll do it when you're free." All in all, the whole process was surreally peaceful. A coworker asked me curiously, "Laura, is that your boyfriend? He's so handsome." I shook my head and denied it. "No, just a friend of a friend. He was drinking yesterday, so I looked after him a bit. He was just thanking me by driving me to work." My coworker didn't ask any more questions. I didn't think any more of it either and buried myself in my work. But halfway through the day, I got a call from Emily. Her voice had a strange excitement to it. "Babe, Peter just called me to ask what color roses you like." Huh? Flowers for me? Yeah. Spill it. When did you two get together behind my back? I was baffled. We didn't. We don't even know each other that well. If you don't know each other, why would he suddenly send you flowers? And 99 of them. To thank me, I guess. I told her about taking a drunk Peter home last night. Emily was skeptical. I don't think so. I've known him for years, and he's not the type to send flowers as a thank you. Then for what reason would he send someone flowers? To pursue them. Emily said excitedly. Laura, I suspect Peter wants to ask you out. When I got home from work that day, I received 99 big, red roses. They were stunning. There was even a romantic English quote written on a card. His intention to pursue me was crystal clear. I don't get it. When did he become interested in me? After a moment of silence, I opened my chat with Peter for the first time. Besides the system notification from when we added each other, the only thing there was the playing hard to get text he'd sent a few days ago. I typed out a thank you. Thanks, I got the flowers. He replied instantly, do you like them? I do, but you don't have to send them anymore. I don't have a vase at home to put them in, it's kind of a waste. I typed hesitantly, trying to refuse gracefully. But Peter didn't seem to get the hint. Okay, I won't send flowers anymore then. Instead, I'll pick you up from work every day and take you to dinner. I don't think that's appropriate. What's not appropriate? I gathered my courage and was a little more direct. I'm just a regular person, and you're not. So we're probably not a good match. The other end went silent for a moment. Is that why you've been too afraid to express your feelings, choosing instead to carefully try and reel me in? You have so many tricks up your sleeve, why are you so timid? Reel him in? Who was reeling him in? Who has tricks up their sleeve? I was about to type a follow-up question, but Peter laid down the final word. Don't be scared. It's my turn to pursue you now. Peter's pursuit was, to say the least, open and intense. It was like some kind of seal had been broken. From watching the city lights on a yacht and enjoying fireworks from a mansion terrace, to grabbing street-side spicy hot pot, grilled snacks, and 60-cent lemonades. He could do it all. I tried to refuse him, both directly and indirectly, but it was no use. He just accused me of deliberately playing games with him. My lips get dry, so I lick them. He says I'm trying to seduce him into a kiss. I purposely act like a gold digger to push him away, he thinks I'm being cute. I try to avoid him, he says I'm playing hard to get. He even says I'm like a little kitten. Always rubbing up against him and meowing a few times before hiding away again. One accusation after another. It got to the point where if I so much as breathed normally, he'd say I was a master of seduction. Naturally, when he transformed into this lovesick puppy and started chasing me, everyone was stunned. They were incredibly curious how I managed to get this big shot so hooked. Because my looks are average at best, I come from a normal family, my job is so-so, and my personality is a bit quiet and introverted. In every way, we were a mismatch. Many people were convinced I must be some kind of top-tier enchantress who knew how to play people. Only I knew how wrongly I was being accused. I really wasn't trying to reel him in. Heaven help me, I'm innocent. After a full 2 months of pursuing me, Peter still hadn't given up. If anything, he was even more lovesick. Emily specifically asked me out to dinner, begging for my guide to reeling in men. How on earth did you hook this guy? I've known him for over 20 years and I've never seen him like this. I was baffled. I didn't hook him. I don't believe you. I'm serious, I didn't. He's the one chasing me, and it doesn't matter if I say no. Emily's curiosity only grew. Peter is rich and handsome, a total dreamboat. Why won't you say yes? Look, he's been waiting outside for half an hour just to drive you home tonight. As she spoke, she pointed out the restaurant window. I looked over. Peter was indeed waiting outside. Tall, with long legs, and an outrageously handsome face. He was leaning casually against the front of an Aston Martin, staring straight at me inside the car. His gaze was like a torch. An undeniable dreamboat. He was so clingy I wanted to stick him in a corner to catch mice. I slowly turned my head back, bit my lower lip, and was about to speak when my phone buzzed. It was from Peter. "Why are you biting your lip? Want to be kissed? Trying to reel me in again, aren't you?" I blushed and showed the phone screen to Emily. "This is why. He's always sending me stuff like this that I can't handle." After reading it, Emily's expression instantly turned teasing. "Oh my, Peter is certainly direct when he's chasing someone. Are you feeling offended by it?" I shook my head. "Not really, I know that's just his personality. Bold, laid back, and untamed." Emily comforted me. "If you're not misunderstanding him, then isn't that great? The fact that he wants to kiss you means he desires you. Otherwise, it would just be a platonic thing." But I sighed. "It also means he wants to sleep with me, that it's just a fleeting novelty. That kind of superficial feeling is probably just physical attraction. It usually doesn't last long. So for a rich kid like him, he'll probably get bored a few days after he gets what he wants. He can afford to play games, but I can't," Emily said seriously. "But physical attraction is the beginning of love. Laura, I can guarantee you, Peter isn't that kind of guy. Try responding to him a little more actively. If you still can't accept it, then I'll help you turn him down. Don't be afraid. Even if he were the king of the world, he can't force my best friend to do anything." After leaving the restaurant, Emily gave me a mischievous grin and pushed me toward Peter. "Peter, you two chat. I'm heading out. Make sure you get my bestie home safe, okay?" Peter gave a slight nod. "Got it." I slowly looked up, my eyes meeting Peter's. I wanted to lick my dry lips but stopped myself, afraid he'd accuse me of reeling him in again. Instead, I handed him an unopened bottle of water. Peter's eyes lit up. "For me?" "No, I was hoping you could open it for me. I was trying for ages and couldn't get it. I'd been eating for a while and was starting to get choked up." I frowned in frustration. Peter's expression was calm as he twisted off the cap, seemingly without any effort. "There. Thank you." I took it back and chugged a few gulps of water. I'd been thirsty for a while, so I drank quickly. Some water trickled from the corner of my mouth, down my neck, leaving a shiny trail. Peter's Adam's apple bobbed up and down, as if he were swallowing. I paused my drinking, remembering Emily's advice to be more proactive. So, I slowly offered the bottle back to him, asking with concern. "Are you thirsty too?" "Yeah." "Then you can have some." Peter's eyes lifted, a smile in them. He reached out, took the bottle, and pressed his lips right where mine had been. "All right." He drank quickly, his Adam's apple moving as he swallowed. I understood. See. He was thirsty too. The two of us finished the bottle of water just like that. Peter didn't throw the bottle away, instead asking me lazily. "Laura, are you full?" "I'm okay." "What does okay mean?" He leaned in a little, his face closer to mine. "If you're hungry, I'll take you to that spicy hot pot place you love. It's almost 10, the owner is about to close. It'll be tiring for you to drive all the way there." I reminded him quietly, intending for him to give up on the idea. But the man's eyes softened. "I'm the owner of that shop." "You?" "Yeah, I bought it. You can eat there whenever you want." Oh my God. Why didn't my takeout coupon from lunch today just explode and put me out of my misery? I'm tearing up. Honestly, even a brainless pig would be touched by this kind of pursuit. And this pig, I mean, this person, is a classic sucker for a soft approach. Tonight, I had originally planned to reject him once and for all. But Emily's words and this humble, almost self-deprecating gesture made me hesitate. I scratched my head and thought for a moment. Peter, is it your birthday tomorrow? Yeah. You remembered? I remember. I remember everything you say. He had been dropping hints about his birthday every time he was around me lately. I even knew how his mother felt the day she gave birth to him. It was hard not to remember. Hearing this, Peter raised his eyebrows in amusement. You really are trying to reel me in. There he goes again. I was tired of explaining, so I didn't bother. I just awkwardly changed the subject. Peter, about your invitation to your birthday party, I accept. A smile touched the corners of his mouth. Great. I'll come pick you up tomorrow. So, is there any gift you want? I calculated the money I had on hand. It should be enough to buy him an expensive gift. Peter shook his head. You don't need to get me a gift. I don't need anything. You coming is the best gift you could give me. I looked at him in surprise. But after 3 seconds, I was the one who blushed and looked away first. The next evening, Peter came to pick me up right on time. A big shot like him having a birthday was, naturally, a huge event. A whole crowd of people came to celebrate with him. Just as I was about to enter the private room, my phone rang. It was my boss. So I called out to Peter. Peter. The bar's music and chatter were too loud. It made my ears hurt. He didn't hear me. I quickly tried to tug on his sleeve to get him to wait. But the light was too dim, and I ended up grabbing one of Peter's fingers by mistake. Peter stopped walking. He looked back at my hand, which was now holding his ring finger. My hand was 2 or 3 sizes smaller than his. One big, one small. The scene suddenly had an indescribable tension. My phone was still vibrating wildly, and the bar was too loud, so I quickly leaned in close to his ear to speak. The warm breath I exhaled puffed right into his ear canal. I have to go outside to take a call from my boss. You go on in and wait for me. In the ambiguous lighting, Peter's ears seemed to be a little red. He stared at me, who had already taken a step back to create some distance, his eyes dark. Okay. After placating my boss, I hung up and headed to the private room to find Peter. By now, the music in the bar had stopped. As I was about to push the door open, I heard my bestie and the other rich kids teasing Peter. Peter, didn't you say you were bringing my girl Laura? You're already hooked, line and sinker. How have you not won her over yet? Is it your first time chasing a girl, you don't know how? I'm working on it. She's just shy and afraid to say yes. I'm kind of jealous Peter at least dares to be a simp. I'm just a lookout dog, too scared to even get close to my goddess. Then what does that make me, who only dares to say hi from behind a screen? An e-dog? Ha 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 ha, Peter's simp title still sounds better. Screw you. Peter shot back lazily, then clicked his tongue. So annoying. You guys have no idea how good Laura is at this. She's so damn good at being cute. Just now, she was whispering right in my ear, breathing on me. It was so sweet and soft. The room instantly erupted in what sounded like a pack of primates howling. Holy crap, my bestie is that good at this? The 1,000-year-old tree is finally blooming. Look at you, you're so talkative now. Peter, man, you're not just into her, it's like Laura put a spell on you. Bullshit. She's very innocent, she wouldn't know that kind of black magic. Oh, and right before we came in, she held my ring finger. You guys know what the ring finger means, right? Anyway, I get it. She definitely wants to marry me. No. I really don't. I'm so tired of saying the word innocent, Your Highness. I waited until the topic of conversation changed before I awkwardly pushed open the door and walked in. Peter had a lot of friends. Many of the rich kids had brought their girlfriends. The room wasn't crowded, but there were hardly any seats left. Except for one empty spot next to Peter and one next to Emily. I subconsciously started walking towards Emily. Just as she was about to wave me over, she received a cold glance from Peter. Emily quickly placed her new Hermes bag on the empty seat. Babe, sorry, you'll have to find another seat. I need to put my bag here. Can't you just put it on your lap? Emily said solemnly, you can't put a multi-million-dollar bag on your lap. Your body heat will warp the leather. Luxury goods are really that delicate? I sighed. Without saying more, I turned and sat in the empty seat next to Peter. But because of the conversation I'd overheard outside, I had no idea how to face him now. I didn't even dare to breathe too hard. I was afraid he'd overthink it and blurt out master of seduction on the spot. But I'm a living person, I have to move eventually. I tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear, and his gaze burned. I politely replied to someone else, and his gaze burned. My mouth was dry, so I took a sip of water, and his gaze burned. I couldn't take being stared at anymore, so I turned to face him. Peter immediately leaned in closer, his voice lazy. What's wrong? I pressed my lips together, my cheeks hot, and whispered a complaint. Peter, stop looking at me. Your friends are dying of laughter. He deliberately whispered back. Let them laugh. I'll look if I want to. Why are you like this? What am I like? Of course I have to look at you when I'm pursuing you. But I dare to look openly. You used to just sneak glances. This used to was referring to Emily's birthday when we were playing the hidden mission game. I explained, that day, I was just trying to complete the game. I believe you. His mouth said he believed me, but his gaze was still scorching. I suspect that if I slapped him right now, he'd stick his tongue out and lick it. He's really turned into a simp. As I was sitting there, trying my best to act calm, the door to the room was pushed open. A beautiful woman walked in, curvy and very sexy. She smiled coquettishly. Hey everyone, I'm from the room next door. I lost a game of truth or dare with my friends, and all I have to do is get a handsome guy's number from your room. Please, I don't want to go back and face the punishment. Help a girl out? One of the guys spoke up. Sure, pick whoever you want. Thanks. The woman said her thanks, her eyes quickly locking onto Peter, who had the most standout presence. Then she broke into a brilliant smile and swayed her hips as she walked up to him. She bent over, presenting her QR code. Her impressive cleavage made my face burn. Wow. Stunning. Hey handsome, can I get your number? Peter, who was looking down at his drink, didn't respond. The woman didn't give up, continuing, come on, handsome, help me out. We can chat more later. As she spoke, she even lightly tapped Peter's glass with her phone. The flirtatious intent was obvious. Her body was practically twisted into a pretzel. This time, Peter reacted. He put down his glass, his eyelids lifting with impatience. If you're that itchy, go take a shower. With that, he turned to look at me. His voice, just moments before clear and cold, now became clingy and intoxicating, husky and pleasant to the ear. Laura, I'm drunk. Can you take me home? The beautiful woman's face soured. I was shocked. Someone, unable to hold it in, blurted out. Peter, you have a serious double standard. That day, I ended up driving him home again. But I didn't stay the night this time. I had to force him to open the door for me. Peter, it's not right for me to stay. Then I'll drive you home. You've been drinking. Then I'll ride with you to your place, and then you can drive me back. I was speechless. Are you trying to create an infinite loop here? Peter had no choice but to open his front door with a scowl. As I was leaving, I turned back and gave him a gift. A pair of cufflinks that cost me several months' salary. Peter, happy birthday. Is this the only gift? I knew what he was hoping for. But I opened my mouth several times and in the end, could only manage a vague Emicham. After that, I went home, told my boss I was taking a vacation, and didn't leave the house for 3 days. I was lost in thought. Peter called and texted me, but my replies were brief. So he started waiting downstairs from my apartment, smoking one cigarette after another. At night, there was always a small, round point of light glowing there. Emily couldn't take it anymore and kicked my door in to have a heart-to-heart. Her blazing anger was extinguished the moment she saw my 3-day-old greasy hair. She tested the waters carefully. "Babe, are you avoiding Peter?" I shook my head. "Not really avoiding him." "Then what's been up with you these past few days?" "I've been thinking seriously." "About what?" "About what my feelings for Peter really are, and whether his feelings for me are just a whim or if he genuinely likes me." The first question is simple. If you just say you don't like him, even if my family were to go bankrupt, I'd go downstairs right now and help you turn him down. You don't have to do that. I like him too. My face turned red. A subtle, embarrassed kind of red. From the very first day he started pursuing me, I had never said I didn't like him. I just felt like I wasn't good enough, so I pulled back. Peter was a great guy. No one could bring themselves to reject him. Emily understood and chuckled. Great. Now for the second question. If you want to know what Peter thinks of you, go downstairs right now. See if his eyes light up or if he looks at you with disgust. Good idea. So I went downstairs. Wearing an old nightgown, with 3-day unwashed hair, and not a stitch of makeup on. You could hardly call it a pretty sight. But the first thing Peter did when he saw me was to light up, his Adam's apple bobbing with restraint. "Stop trying to seduce me. But I'm free tonight." His words, as always, left me speechless. But I was also a little happy. He wasn't superficial. He liked me for me. My heart suddenly felt full, like countless bubbles popping one after another. "Peter, I wasn't avoiding you these past few days." "Okay, why are you telling me this?" Because. I struggled to find the words. "Because I like you, and I don't want you to misunderstand." Peter's eyes grew even brighter. He walked over, took my hand, and wrapped his other arm around me. "Yeah, I like you too." I gently pushed him away with my hand and continued to explain. "I've thought things through these past few days. We might break up before long, the physical attraction will fade, but at least we'll have had this connection. The process of a relationship is actually more important than the outcome. I was too timid before. I'm sorry." As soon as those words left my mouth, the atmosphere around us seemed to drop in temperature, becoming terrifying. "Is that so?" Peter forced a smile that wasn't a smile. He lowered his head and kissed me fiercely. "Laura, we just admitted we like each other and you're already thinking about breaking up. Isn't that a little messed up?" Later, Peter and I started dating. Did I ever think about breaking up? Not really. Because dating, engagement, and marriage all happened in a flash. So fast that everyone said Peter was terrified I would dump him. I simply had no time to think. It wasn't until later that I discovered a secret. Peter didn't get hooked because I was unconsciously reeling him in. For him, it was actually love at first sight. That's why he played along every single time.